Welcome to today's info session. Today we're here to talk all about the Career Relaunch course from PTLU. I am Megan Frazier. I am the Marketing and Operations Manager here at PTLU. Today I'm going to be manning that, so feel free to drop your questions in there, and we will have time to answer them at the end of the call. I want to let you know that the session is being recorded and broadcast live on LinkedIn, and we're also going to be sending the recording to everybody who registered for the event today. So let me introduce our speakers. Today we have Susan Rietano Davey and Kelley Biskupiak joining us. They're going to share all about their signature career relaunch program. They are the co-founders of Prepare to Launch You, and they are passionate about guiding women through the work-life transitions of all kinds. They have extensive backgrounds in technology, education, and executive coaching, and they've empowered thousands of women to successfully re-enter the workforce after a career break. So we'll begin with some course details today. Then we're going to introduce you to two of our course graduates, Ashley and Sarisha, who were so kind to join us today. So I'm going to pass it off to
Yeah.
Susan and Kelley, and they're going to tell you all about the
Welcome, everyone. For those of you who don't know, Megan actually is a graduate of our military spouse program, which is very similar to this career relaunch program. And she was so fantastic that we hired her. So,
All right.
let's
go. So a little bit about us. We are both moms of four, and we both took career breaks and re-entered into work. In our cases, we both became entrepreneurs, but we totally get this. We've lived it.
Yes. And we have a combined 40 years of experience helping women from across the globe through good and bad economic times navigate the work and life transitions that you all experience.
As Megan mentioned, we have complementary skills. I have a background in tech and executive coaching. Kelley has a background in education, curriculum design, and personal coaching. So we have this really beautiful 360-degree perspective of all of the challenges that living, working, and then re-entering the workplace can present for you because we face it ourselves.
Yes, and we're widely recognized experts in this area, in this lane, career relaunchers and career returners, career pivoters.
Yeah.
We're trusted in this field. We've worked with Fortune 500 companies, major universities. We've spoken at national conferences, and some of you may have found us there, are LinkedIn authors. We are on LinkedIn. We have courses on LinkedIn Learning as well.
And today we're hoping to bring you into our web and help you return or pivot and work yourself.
Yes.
Okay. So you've made the right decision to join us today. If any of these resonate, you're considering returning to work or maybe pivoting, but you don't know where to start.
Right. Or you don't know how to present your break as an asset and not as a liability.
And hopefully you will learn through us. And even if you just watch some of our short form content, you'll see that we are big believers in the transferable skills that you develop as a caregiver, as a community leader, as a gig worker, that makes you actually a better candidate after your career break than you were before.
Exactly.
If you've been trying to get in the door, maybe you've been applying for jobs and not getting invited in, maybe you're getting in, but not getting brought in for a second or a follow-up interview, and you're not gaining any meaningful traction, then you're definitely in the right place.
Right. Or you're receiving varied and conflicting advice, and you feel more confused than ever. We understand this. This is a part of the reason why we started this career relaunch course, because we wished we had something like this when we were doing our own career returns. And oftentimes the people that are around you that love you the most are weighing in, giving you advice. What we can tell you with certainty is this is our lane.
And it's not theirs.
Yes. Yes. We are experts in this lane. We understand what is happening for you and the unique challenges that you have and how to educate everyone that comes across your path, whether you're networking, interviewing, whatever it is, your own family members under your roof, how to educate them on who you are and what you bring to the table. Yeah.
And if the whole process feels overwhelming, then you're in the right place.
Yes.
Okay. So a little bit, we're going to skip that one. Oh no, we like that one. There was another one we wanted to skip.
Okay.
This one we wanted to just skip a couple of these.
Okay.
But these are some of the challenges that we hear when people come in. So as you're thinking, you're here today because you're starting to think maybe I need some help.
Right.
Maybe the motivator is income.
Right.
Maybe it's financial need in your family. Maybe it's discretionary income. Maybe it's challenge. You've loved leading the PTO, but you used to run a big P&L and you're looking for that kind of challenge. Maybe it's connection. You love your kids' friends, parents, but you're looking to make some professional connections, whatever it is. These are the kinds of good reasoning for considering a program like ours.
Right. Your resume may be full of odd jobs, gaps, moves. And so that's never going to hold up. You're probably saying to yourself, like, how am I going to make this even make sense? And that's a challenge that we know that you all face.
We also know that many of the women, they're coming to us because they feel like they've got the pieces together. They know they need to network, because if you watch anybody's content out there, you'll learn that's the way you get a job, but they don't believe they have a network. They don't know how to create a network. And even if they did have a network, they don't know what they would say. So that's another good challenge to overcome by working with us.
Right. And I already talked about this one earlier, but
Competing advice.
you might be getting that competing advice from, like I said, really well-intended people that just want to support and help you. And that becomes something that can really.
Well, it just gets dizzying because there's so much advice out there. You also may have been underemployed.
Right.
I was using that root powder.
A lot of people have been unemployed during their career break, but many will take that easy job as the paralegal in the school, or supporting this church secretary, or working at Lululemon or the local gym, because it's convenient, because you might get some community out of it, maybe some advantages out of it. But those kinds of things do not define you. And one of the things that we work on in our programs is teaching you that you're not going to just leave our program just taking a job,
Right,
or any job, or just the job that's available, because that's not all you can do. You can do a lot more. We want you to find the role. And I think Ashley in particular is going to be a really good case study for that.
for sure.
Yeah.
And many of you have been applying already, and you've applied to dozens, maybe even more than dozens of jobs, and you haven't landed an interview, or maybe you haven't gotten past that first interview.
And you'll learn very quickly in our program that you don't use a job board to find a job. If any of you are doing that right now, even if you don't sign up for our program, don't apply online. You'll never get through. It's a waste of your time.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the solution that we have come up with and is embedded into our course. So number one is the clarity. It's knowing who you are and what you offer. We have to spend time really thinking about who are you now at this place in your life, and what do you offer? Who's your audience? And then that informs the direction you're going to go in, and understanding of what you want and need, but also where you fit.
And then the strategy. So we're going to develop the plan to meet and connect with your audience once you've identified it, and then how to not only just meet with them, but advance the conversation into interviews and ultimately a job, and all the tactics. So a lot of you come in here saying, okay, well, I want to get a good resume. You'll get a great resume. I want to learn how to interview. You'll learn how to interview. You'll learn how to negotiate, all of those things. But there's a lot of foundational work that precedes that makes sure that once those tactics are being developed, they're being developed with a very clear audience in mind.
And confidence. And confidence, because what we know and understand is that this process grows your confidence back. So if you are sitting there and you do not feel confident right now, this 10 weeks will accelerate that for you in a way that we can't put into words, really.
That's right.
Because it's something that you have to experience. I hope our students can share some of that with you. And
the program also offers a lot of support. So, so to be very clear, Kelley and I are the instructors in this program. There are other programs out there where you're brought in and then you're given an individual coach, or you're watching videos of other people. We lead this. We take small cohorts of women. We're looking to fill another cohort of maybe 10 to 12 women at this point. That's it. And you're with us. You're with us for a significant amount of time. We'll talk about that in a moment. But you also get the community of other people. So you're one of those 10 or 12 women who are in your situation and navigating the same journey. So it's a beautiful experience to have, not just the company, but the motivation and the accountability that comes from taking the program in a small group.
Yeah, really interestingly, when Susan and I first started this program years ago, and we built it out, and we were sitting with the pilot, having them go through it, we thought that you would take it online on yourself. It'd be a self-study course, and then, you know,
And we would just sit at home and collect the revenue.
That's what we thought. It was like we were going to share our expertise in these videos, and you were going to go and do it on your own. And the first batch of pilot of the program said to us, no, we need people. Like, we need to do this with other people. We need the accountability. We need the structure. We need the support of other people. And so that has been built into this course. So know that every woman that has come through this course before you, which is in close to 1,000 now, they have made this program better and better over the years.
For you.
Yeah, for you.
So simply by joining us today, you're taking a first step. So we have people joining us here live on LinkedIn and on video who have been in our web for years.
Right.
And for some reason, today was the day you said, you know what, I'm at least going to attend this webinar.
And we're happy you did.
Yep. So you're investing in yourself just by being here, even though you're not paying money yet, but just by taking this time out of your day and not doing something for someone else, you are investing in yourself. And that's a great first step.
Yeah. And you're doing something, right? You are moving the needle now. You're not just talking about this. We always, in the very beginning, when we were building the course, we talked about the circling of the drain, you know, that you've been circling the drain for an extended period of time, talking about it, maybe thinking about it, little whispers in your mind. And now it's like, I'm actually moving towards something. And you will feel that in the course. You will feel that momentum as the weeks build on each other.
And it's just the first step. And our job today is to convince you should take the second step. Yeah. That's what we're hoping to do. So let's talk about the program, how it looks and what it entails.
So it's 10 weeks long. We've said that already. It's the two of us. You also get the community. Module 1 is what we call Reclaim. This is where you're going to spend 2 weeks using our proprietary and our third-party partnerships that we have to really focus on knowing who you are now. So what is your brand? What is your brand?
Then module 2 through 4 is called Refine. And in those, that's another 2 weeks. And you'll be spending a little more time with Kelley during these 2 weeks. And it's really understanding who's your audience, and equally important, if not more, what is getting in the way. So identifying where you want to go, but understanding that there are mindsets, there are realities of your home life and other things that get in the way of you really reaching for the job that you want, not just the job that you can get.
Right. And I just want to say a little something about this. There is a real reality to burnout. Many of you are sitting here today because you got burnt out in the work that you were doing and you couldn't do it all. And so we embed into the course science-backed research strategies that you can start to embed in your life regularly, so that we are burnout proofing you when you get back into the work world, that you have some place that you go back to that you know is going to get you back centered, balanced, and make the best version of yourself something that you're giving to the world rather than an exhausted, depleted version of yourself.
Modules 5 through 8 are where most of you think you need to start. But hopefully we've made the case for why that foundational work is so important, because it does help stretch you and also really refine what you're looking at. So that's when we're going to help you write that perfect resume. We're going to help you tell your story in every possible modality. So resume, LinkedIn profile statement, LinkedIn page, elevator pitch, the way you answer interview questions, the way you negotiate for a higher salary or for better perks.
Network.
Yeah, and obviously, and for networking too, a big piece of that.
You'll have like a full networking plan. And then modules 9 and 10 are review and refresh. And we use those 2 weeks for practice. We do a ton of practice. There's a ton of live coaching on those Friday calls. That is really something that's so beneficial. It's so much fun to watch. Susan acts as the interviewer and will really help you refine your language and the way you're wordsmithing things until you feel so comfortable and so confident that when you are answering questions on an interview, and we love this when our students come back and they tell us, oh my gosh, like they completely asked that question and I knew exactly what to say. And it's such a great feeling. They also, it's sometimes at that point in the course, we will even have students that are at the place where they are negotiating an offer. So that's great for them to come back and we kind of hash it all out on the calls, and you learn in real time. So when your time comes, you are really educated about how to tackle that. So
Kelley's mentioned the calls. Let's talk about how the course is formatted. So you mentioned that there's videos. So we have 44 professionally produced instructional videos. You access them online. We have a learning management system called Kajabi. It's a beautiful portal, very easy to use. You'll go in, you'll get the week, you'll have a syllabus, you'll get the week's assignment. So module 1, watch videos 1 through 5, and then most of the videos have an attached exercise file that you download, and you can either complete it on a screen or print it and write hard copy, whatever you prefer. So you'll do that on your own. The course actually lasts 11 weeks in the fall. We add an extra week because Thanksgiving we don't have a class. So the fall always gets
to the fall.
The fall gets a nice little perk because of that. The extra week is well used. So you have this kind of self-paced learning, and then every Wednesday you'll meet with one of us for supplemental instruction. And every Friday you meet with both of us for coaching. So while Wednesday we might be teaching you something new or diving a little deeper into an instructional concept, on Friday it's just practice. So when we're in module 8, which is interview, I'm just firing interview questions at you, and you're practicing them, and you're critiquing each other, and you're practicing with each other. So it's a lot of live time to supplement what you're learning on your own.
We've already talked about the fact that we are in this particular round, we are looking for up to 12 women for a small cohort, which is great because it gives you the opportunity to connect with other people that are going through this, but then it also gives you the opportunity to get that access to us on the calls. And that's
it came. We did another info session last week, and it did come up a couple of times. Do we get one-on-one coaching? No. But I think our students who are on the call will probably tell you it feels like you do, because when you've only got 9 other women or 11 other women on the call, and you're with us that many hours, you're getting plenty of one-on-one.
And sometimes it's just listening. It's maybe
someone else's problem or question.
This is something I hadn't even really thought about, or this is something that I am really struggling with too, but I didn't know how to articulate it. And then you hear another student asking questions about that, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, okay, well, that just moved the needle for me too. So there's a lot of learning that happens on those Friday calls. We chucked in, okay. Then we also have 50 pages of activity files, templates, scripts, and so much more. That is all housed in Kajabi, which is our learning platform that we use. You'll hear that term often from Megan. It's where all the videos are housed, and all of these activity files are housed there as well. You can download it at the very entrance to the course. You can download it as one file and make it a workbook for yourself. If you want to do that, print it out, go to Staples, put it in a binder, or if you want to download as you go, you have that option as well.
So we try to embed some technology. We know that some of you who've applied have asked questions about gaining tech skills. This is not a work training course. This is a course that teaches you how to find and land the work that you want. But we do embed some technology because we want, especially for those of you who've been out longer, to be familiar with some of the commonly used tools. So you will be communicating with us and with each other. And then after you graduate, with all of the students who've come before you in a Slack space. Some of you may be familiar with it. It is a synchronous and asynchronous platform for communicating. It's very well organized, very easy to use, and very commonly used in industry. So it's one less thing you need to learn when you start a job. We also use Google Drive. We'll be using Google Docs and Google Spreadsheets. So again, very commonly used, very simple applications for the course, but you'll be familiar with it. And then the Google spreadsheet would also be like using Excel. So you probably used Excel if you've had a financial background, but maybe not if you haven't. So you'll have the experience of working with a spreadsheet, working with communications, and working with a commonly used shared drive for documentation when you leave the program. And
in that shared drive, we have is where we house something called our resume gallery. This is actually an exciting part of the course. Because when you are writing that resume, it can be extremely challenging. And if you have lots and lots of really good models of women who have walked the walk, and maybe in your industry, they may be from a similar background, they may be making a pivot similar to the pivot you ultimately decide that you're making. this shows you many, many examples. And because we're so far down the road here, that resume gallery grows with each new cohort of students we have approved by Susan. Susan actually, she does it, just to let you all know this, in this course, you write your own resumes. And you write your own resumes because there is an intrinsic value, we believe this very strongly, that grows your confidence during that process. It's a part of the writing process. It's what makes you more confident when you are speaking it out in the world. And it begins with writing that resume. We do know that that is challenging. And so this is why we have these examples, but all of you, once your resume is done and has been vetted by partners that you have in the course
And vetted live on the Friday calls.
on the Friday calls, Susan will do a pass of each student's resume just to make sure it is ready for prime time. So she does a resume review, but the review is done after you have probably gone through many iterations of writing that resume, but there is such value in you doing that. You will speak better. You will speak more confidently. You will believe what you're saying because you made it true as you moved through this process. Okay, you made it come to life. Maybe it's not you made it true.
And we do the same thing for LinkedIn. Same iterative process, same review and final approval.
Yep.
And then we mentioned briefly that Slack space that you use for your communication also has a graduate space for everyone who's ever come through the course. It's a great place to find people in your geography that you might want to meet with, great place to find job leads or to network for people in industries. And women who've been through the course before are very willing and excited to help people who come after them. So it's a great community.
And you move over to that Slack space once you have completed the 10 weeks. We don't put you in there until then. Okay.
All right. So we know, everybody wants to know who gets a job, how quickly, and where. So about 1,000 women or more have gone through the program. About 60% of them, as of our last count, will land within the quarter after they finish the program. Probably less so for our spring cohort because they go right into summer, which is a slightly less likely hiring period. But certainly the people who could take in the fall, they're getting ready for January. They usually land within that first quarter, a little more than half of them. And about 90% are fully landed within a year. We do have some people that take longer. In fact, one of them is on the call today. She was working as a consultant and was very particular about where she was going to go and landed an incredible job that just actually ended up becoming more incredible because her company was acquired. But we'll let her talk about that. We also want to mention that success is measured in different ways. If you can see that list of some of the companies where our students have landed, we're of course using the more recognizable names. But success for us is that you have found and landed what you want. So it may be that after taking our course, you decide that, I used to be a paralegal and I just quit law school because I was pregnant or whatever. And then I stayed home and raised my kids and I really want to be a lawyer. Then it's successful for us if you've written that resume for law school application, you've prepared for your interview for law school, and you've negotiated for the best financial aid package for that law school. That is a success to us. It's not a conventional job. Many women come through and they decide what I really want to do is start my own company or start my own nonprofit. Again, they're coming out of this course with a great pitch for investors. They're coming out of the course with a great either product marketing brochure or website or whatever it is that's going to be used as their resume. Those are all success cases. We want success for us is defined by whatever you've said, this is what I want to do by the end of week 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we have a survey that we give out at the end of every course. It's what makes the program better, stronger, more dynamic. We really, really value the feedback that we get from students that have been through the course, and we make changes based on that. But we don't have a ton of feedback. Any tweaks or changes we have definitely done, but 98% of our graduates give us a 5 out of 5, and 99% of the course students that come through the course actually, when they get to the end, say this was either fair or this was a complete bargain. I got so much more just in maybe the pay that you are getting for the job that you end up take. taking. My goodness, my mouth just broke for a second.
All right, so the 3 steps to reaching your goal, really simple. Some of you have already applied. If not, please do. How long are the applications open, Megan?
Application deadline is Monday, September 15th, and we
Yeah.
get started right after that. The 17th is our onboarding.
Okay. So once you're applied, we personally review every application. You'll either be accepted, or if you're declined, we'll tell you specifically why, or if if there's some questions, because then we'll set up a 15-minute meeting with you. We deny people if we feel like we can't meet their needs.
Exactly.
If you are asking for the kind of service that we provide and you fit our general, which is very broad demographic, you're in. We're not looking to deny people. The only other reason we would deny people is if we've already met the max seating for this particular semester.
And then you go on a wait list.
Yep.
So you first apply, then you enroll. So you will get an acceptance back, and in that acceptance email is a link to enroll in the course. And immediately when you enroll in the course, you get access to the course videos. So you can kind of peruse around there, see what's going on. And then there will be an onboarding session where we talk you through how to make all of the parts work so it's not so overwhelming.
And then commit. Our students seem to think it's about 6 to 8 hours of work a week.
Yeah.
You get what you put into it. We do prefer you to come live to our calls, but if that's not possible, then all the calls are recorded. But we want you to look at the schedule. The schedule right now, we're looking for this cohort to have its meetings at noon Eastern time, both on Wednesdays for those supplemental instructional calls and on Fridays for the coaching calls. So kind of apply with that in mind in terms of schedule. We know you all want to know what the financial commitment is.
Right.
It's $100 a month for 12, $200 for 6, $400 for 3, or $3 discount if you pay up front at $11.97. So that's the payment plan. And as we mentioned earlier, you have access to all of the recorded material and for a year, and to the Slack space for as long as we're around.
Right.
The Slack space, we have students from 5 years ago that are still very active in Slack.
Yeah. And this payment plan was something that we added on a few years back because we know that it can be a challenge. You might be weighing all sorts of other competing financial imperatives in your life. And so this was our answer to being able to make it affordable and digestible. But we do know and understand that sometimes the hardest step is right here, because it's you giving something to yourself. It's you investing in you. And
that's hard to do when you're not making money.
Yes.
But let's just be honest, because we both have 4 kids. You don't blink an eye to spend $1,200 to sign your daughter up for softball, or your son up for, cello or whatever it is. You need to be able to spend that money on yourself.
Yeah.
And I think one of the pieces, it's harder for us to measure, but it should be a question we add to our survey. Make a note of that, Megan, is most of our students, and this is anecdotal because they just tell us that I got a much better job, better paying job than I ever got. I was going to be the church secretary for $18 an hour.
Yeah.
And now I'm a product manager for $150,000 a year. I mean, that is the benefit, but you have to be ready and willing to invest in yourself and making sure that the people around you understand that you are investment worth making.
Well, and we've had women who have come to us who are, either in the early stages of navigating divorce or on the other side of divorce. And there's a lot of stress and anxiety around just where the dollars are going. And, I think it's so important to note that we have had students come back and say to us, it was such a symbolic moment for me when I did invest in this, because it was like taking back my power. It was me saying, you know what, I'm doing this and I believe in myself and I have my own back and I'm going to make this happen. And when they land the job, we are more than excited for them because they did make it happen. And it starts here. So it's more than just money. It is money, but it's more than just money.
Okay. Great. So we have a money back guarantee because we know that this for some of you would be a big, for most people, it's a big investment. So once you get all the way through module 1, if you've completed module 1 and for whatever reason you feel like the program's not a fit, we've had students who've had a health crisis
Right.
that presented itself in week 1. We've had one student over the last 7 years who got a job in week 1 and it was her dream job, so she left.
But
But
who've gotten a job and stayed.
yeah, a lot of them stay because what you're learning in the course helps you succeed at work as well. But as long as you've put the effort in, you've gone through module 1 and you feel like it's not a fit, no questions asked. Well, probably a couple questions asked, but full money back guarantee. If you paid in full, you get the full amount back. If not, you just get your termination of your monthly bill and a refund for that one payment that you made. Right. So here's what you'll know on December 5th if you enroll. You'll know what jobs are out there, where you fit, and what jobs fit you. And that may not be a question that you're used to asking, but we want you to ask that question. What do I want?
Right.
Not just what can I do?
You'll know how to explain your unconventional work story in a compelling and convincing way.
You'll know how to use digital search tools effectively and to your advantage and how not to use applicant tracking systems or job boards.
You'll know how to use those common business tools that Susan spoke about earlier, Slack, Google Docs, Excel.
You'll know who your network is, that you actually have one, how to grow that network, how to find new connections, and then what to say to them when you meet with them.
How to use the compelling resume that you're going to do in the course and how in your LinkedIn as well. And you're going to be creating something that gets you noticed and remembered.
How to nail every interview. In fact, we've had many students come back and say they didn't have any interviews as difficult as they had here with me in the course. And how to negotiate shrewdly so that you're always getting whatever money is on the table and not just what is being offered to you.
Right. And how to prepare your family. This is an important piece for many of you. You have probably been in a defined role for an extended period of time, and unwinding from that, giving your family a ramp to unwind from that. It also could be that you are a caregiver and those responsibilities. So how do you make space for yourself personally and professionally in your life once you start working again?
It's one of my favorite lessons that Kelley does. All right, so questions. We're going to introduce Ashley and Sarisha. They're not scripted. They're just here to talk about their experiences. They have both landed jobs. Ashley, you want to go first? And so what we want you to do is if you have questions, please it's a small group, ask them. If you're on LinkedIn or if you prefer using the chat on Zoom, just write your question in and Megan will be fielding those questions for us. Hi, Ash.
Hello. First of all, Susan, Kelley, Megan, thank you so much for inviting me back. I cannot say enough great things about your program. I know, Susan, you've already talked to some people that I've sent your way.
Yeah,
hopefully they're exploring the program as well. But I sat in your shoes where you all are last year at this time. I was an empty nester or about to be an empty nester. And I was like, okay, I've been very involved with my 3 children. My last one was going off to college and I was like, all right, what am I going to do now? We had some family stuff. We lost my in-laws that were nearby. Our life changed. And I was like, I just was sort of facing, all of a sudden it hit me in September. I just felt very empty. It was horrible. And I know a lot of people go through that. So that's why I'm happy to share that. But I was like, I've been out of the workforce it was over 20 years. So I'm on the very tail end of the folks that Susan and Kelley work with. And I was like, I want to go back to work. Like, I have a lot of skills and I want to get back out there. So I got onto LinkedIn Learning. Basically how we all start. How do I write my resume? Like, what do I do? And that's where I found Susan and Kelley. They had a great video about how to write your resume after you've had a career gap. But when I started to listen to the advice that they gave, I just thought, this is brilliant. Like, these women really know what they're talking about. They know their stuff. So I think I reached out to Susan, emailed her, and we had a conversation. And she basically told me that this cohort was coming up and I should strongly consider joining it. So literally a year ago, I was in your shoes. And I know that Susan and Kelley mentioned the ROI, and I can't say it on this course. Yes, it might feel very expensive and a bit of a stretch, but at the same time, when I went through the course, initially I was writing my resume. I thought, okay, you know, I've had a lot of volunteer experience. Maybe I'll go and be a fundraiser for some nonprofit or something like that. So I was sort of starting to even talk to people in that space. That was before I joined the course. I talked to Susan. She's like, you can think more expansively than that. You know, there's probably other careers that you might be even better suited for, given your background. And I was like, okay. And part of the process that initially Susan and Kelley have you go through is you're exploring what types of lanes or careers you might want to take a look at. And they have you go out in the world and talk to all sorts of people. And that's a great part of the program. I mean, I think a foundational part of the program. But during that process, I discovered, hey, yeah, I could do the development piece, and I certainly would be qualified to do that. But I really have other areas that I might want to pursue even more that might align more with my interests. So I started to focus on the chief of staff role. So all that is to say, when I think about this course and the price of it, I think my mindset going into this was I'll get a job that was whatever it was in the fundraising space. And I ended up with a job about 6 months ago that is probably double the compensation of what I would have gotten in that role, the development role. It's certainly a much more interesting place for me to be. I'm having a blast professionally back to work. And the other part of the return on investment of this program, I think, is that because you go through this and you're following these steps and the advice that Susan and Kelley give you is so spot on, everything really went down exactly how they told me it would in terms of, you know, don't bother wasting your time applying on job boards. You know, you've got to get out there and network and talk to people. Everything worked exactly as they said. And I think what that ended up doing for me is short circuiting the time it took me to find a job, because I was really focused on those activities that were going to be most valuable and going to give me the put me in the right place. And because the time, you know, I think we finished the course in early December, and I think right after the holiday, in early January, I had the first interview for my job that I ended up landing. So there's like literally very little time wasted in my mind getting this job. And that helped my confidence tremendously, because I think had I spent a year and I had talked to people during the networking process who had other similar going back to work people who had found jobs, but you know, one woman told me, yeah, I took a job. It's you know, I've been in it for a year. I've got to find a way out, because it was really the only job. You know, I searched on job boards for a year, 2 years, and this was the one that finally yielded something to me. So I jumped at it. But she's like, I'm way overqualified. You know, she just needed to dig a hole. And I think that sort of mentality kind of starts to etch away at your confidence. So I would say that the big benefit of this program is to really give you that confidence and shorten the time frame that helps build the confidence as well. So I am a huge believer in what these ladies are doing for women like me and women in general, because I feel like this is a path for the future for you know, a lot of women in our country.
I'm glad you said that, because what I'd like all the women here to hear is that the reason there is such a gender leadership gap isn't because men are bad.
Right.
I mean, there are a few men that are bad, but it's because women, 80% of women do some type of career pause. 80% of professional women either take a career break or they remain in the workplace and they decelerate or they stall. They take a smaller team, they work part-time, or they work remote, or they do a job share, or they take a smaller client list, or they stall. I'm going to stay in this job for 8 years until my youngest is in kindergarten. And by doing that, we are kind of mired in the middle, and the pipeline for senior leadership doesn't have any of us in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm writing a book on this. So I really know the data well. But the takeaway here is that you all here have an opportunity to try to make a change there, just like Ashley did. If Ashley hadn't taken our course, and Ashley has an incredible experiential and academic pedigree, she would have been working for a church, working for a small local New Jersey nonprofit,
Yes.
which is great.
Yes.
But it's not what she would have wanted. We gave her permission
Yes.
to think a lot more boldly. A lot of times, she may have even been thinking about it, and please tell me if I'm wrong here. A lot of women come in, they kind of have that bold idea, but they don't even want to say it because it feels silly. Like, how could I ever think I could be an executive chief of staff when I haven't worked in 20 years, right? A lot of you are thinking like that. We need to work hard to put ourselves back on that track, because guess what? You don't retire at 62 anymore.
Right.
It's ridiculous. You're going to live to 92. And you've got, I mean, I would be retired already, right? I've got a lot more in my lane ahead.
Yeah.
So because of that, you all have an opportunity to make things better for yourself, but also to really change the paradigm that's
Yes.
been long established and is for a lot of reason is on us
Yeah.
for not being bold enough and reclaiming our places in the workplace.
Right.
So thank you.
And well, and I want to piggyback on your soapbox.
Thank you.
But we in this program are teaching you how to teach people who you are and what you have to offer. And so that gap is not looking so much, like we said earlier, like a liability. It's actually something that's allowing the world to know and understand the value of the work that you've done in these opt-out years and really seeing that work as work and educating people. So every woman we send out of this program that goes on an interview or networks with someone, you are using language that is educating for the greater good, for the collective. You are doing that as a result.
Like we said.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ashley.
Does anybody have any
you.
questions for Ashley? Oh, okay.
You did a great job, Ashley. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you.
Really appreciate it.
Comes from the heart. Like,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarisha. So Ashley's in New Jersey. Sarisha's in the Bay Area, right, Sarisha?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had somewhat of a similar story to Ashley. The primary difference was that I had been consulting for a while, but was trying to get back into full-time roles. And I
And you were
also,
consulting because you had young kids. It was much more manageable.
yeah. So just in terms, like, let me just, I guess, share a little bit of like my story. So after college, I started working at American Express. I spent 4 years there, and then I went to business school, and then I went back to Amex. After I had two kids, kind of back to back, I realized, oh my gosh, that like 5 days a week is too much. So I started consulting, and that gave me flexibility for, my family, for my sanity. And I continued doing that for a long time, for like up until like through the pandemic, actually. And then during the pandemic, the market changed, right? Like consulting was much more difficult to secure, and the rates were not as good. And also at home, like my family circumstances changed. Like my children were older and a little bit more independent. And so I really wanted to go back to full time. Now, I'm a marketer, and I really think pretty deeply about like what I'm targeting, what my product is, what my messaging is. So I had already done a lot of the work and thought I was in a good place. And I was applying to so many roles. And I was just shocked because I got maybe one or two interviews the whole time. And it was surprising because I had never in my life had a hard time getting like interviews or like this, things would fall into my lap all the time. And all of a sudden it was a lot of work, and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. And that whole experience just made me really question my own relevance, my own experience, my potential contribution. I really started like getting into my own head about all of this. And so I don't remember how I found PTLU. I think I was watching a YouTube video, like one of Susan and Kelley's YouTube videos, but I don't know, I'm not sure. But I signed up for it because I was like, well, whatever I'm doing is not working. I've been at this for a year and made zero progress. So maybe there's something that I'm missing. And the course was just so much more than I had expected it to be. Like I hadn't really thought about like for myself anyway, like the kind of the emotional and also like organizational angle of going back to work. And Kelley like really took us through like how do you make sure that you want to go do this? Like how do you make sure like your life is structured so that you can do this and succeed in it, right? And so there's like a lot of foundational stuff that I thought was way more than what I was initially expecting. Um, in terms of what I gained from the course, for me specifically, there were, I think, three specific things. The first was I was really able to reframe my experience. Um, and the second, so the I had been kind of sheepish about talking about like my consulting experience or uh like any of my experience, honestly, because
Or
I
almost apologetic,
Yeah.
which is what
yeah,
we see a lot.
yes. And I think it was because I had not been making progress, so it made me like question it. And so and I was able to like fill in the gaps or like the like have ready answers for some of the hard questions.
Mhm.
Um, honestly, that practice, it was like just practice. That's like my second thing that really helped me. It was, we heard other people's pitches and Susan's feedback to other people's pitches, to my pitches. It really allowed me to like hone my material. And honestly, like having that script for some of these hard questions and hard situations like negotiation really gave me so much more confidence. And then the third kind of most helpful thing for me was just really understanding how HR and networking really work. I had been, I'd wasted essentially like a year of my life applying for roles that I wasn't going to get because I was going through it, like applying in a way that it's this like untold way that the market actually works. Like we think like, oh, there's a job board and I'm going to apply and whatnot. And Susan broke down like, actually, this is actually how everything works. And frankly, that's actually how I got my current role, which, I'd been interviewing for a long time, or like I'd been applying for a long time. And I ended up at I'm at Pete's Coffee. It's 3 miles from my house. My whole team is awesome. I'm doing exactly what it is that I had laid out that I wanted to do, and even more. It's a really terrific company, brand, team. I feel like it was a miracle, honestly, that this happened. But I'm just really grateful that I had set the foundation with PTLU to like really just jump on it when like the opportunity presented itself. And the way I even got the interview was using Susan's strategies, right? Like I applied and no one had gotten back to me and I was like, what on earth? I'm so perfect for this role. And I just got like really pushy and I started, contacting people who had friends there and getting myself interviews and stuff. And so I knew that like if I could just get that first interview, I would be fine. And that is exactly what happened. So anyway, I am just really thankful for all of this. And one other thing I wanted to share was I don't know what situation everybody's in, but for me anyway, I was able to deduct the course in my taxes um, because I was a consultant, right? And so this was like continuing education for me. So I was just going to say, like, talk to your accountants. Maybe there's actually a way to make this even more affordable.
Great. Thank you, Sarisha.
Thanks for the little tip. That's a new one.
I know. Any questions for Sarisha or Ashley or us? Please don't be shy. There's no dumb questions.
Allison asks, oh, first I'll do it in order.
Okay.
So
I actually
Molly
have to
asks,
jump. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Yes,
No,
that's
because you're
fine, Sarisha.
working.
Yes.
thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Um, so, so Amini says, would this be a good course for those looking into returning to work time?
Part-time, anytime. Yeah, that's going to be part of you determining what you want. And Ashmini, whether you take this course or not, I'll tell you right now, You don't ever want to let a hiring manager or a recruiter know that you want to work part-time unless the job is posted and is intentionally part-time. That's something you negotiate for later. So flexible work is part of your compensation. And if you start out of the gate and you're interviewing with me and you tell me in your cover letter how great you are and that you want to work part-time, I'm not going to interview you. If you network with me and I like you and you say, I want to work part-time, I'm not going to move you through the process because I've got 1,000 other candidates that can work 40 hours plus. So what you want to do is that's something that if you're a really good fit for the role and you interview and you make it all the way through and they make you an offer, then as part of your counter offer, you will talk about the kind of schedule you want to work. And this is something that we cover in great detail in the course. But for all of you, whatever that perfect job is, that means the content, the organization, the industry, the field, but also the schedule. That's part of choosing your lane that Ashley talked about. So absolutely, Ashmini, yes, it's a good place for you.
Okay, and the next question is from Allison. So do you set up in-person networking? Can you talk about that?
Well, we teach you how to network. We
Right.
practice with you.
Right.
We will do screen shares to help you find people on LinkedIn that you might want to connect with. So I'm not sure if you're talking in the first or the third person here, but you would be the one initiating the networking calls. We do not
We don't have
provide
like a
those for you.
networking event
However,
or anything in the course.
you know, we certainly, in many accounts, have said, "Oh, gee, I know we were on a
Yeah.
call yesterday. We both know people in the hotel industry, and one of our students wanted to get into hotel management. We both sent her to people. So if we have a network, but more likely our greater network will know, oh, gee, you know what? I know that Sarisha's working in marketing within food and beverage, so we could put you in touch with her to help build your network. But you are learning how to network. We're not providing that network.
And we're kind of building the touches that you have or building that network over time based on the exercises we're asking you to do. So in the beginning of the course, we ask you to do an exercise where you're looking at your strengths and we ask you to go back and talk to old colleagues. And so you're kind of like warming up that network that maybe, you know, at a very low stakes
Yeah.
way. Then we have you do some exploring and assessing where you're learning about roles and job
Industries.
tests, industries, things like that. And so that again is, you know, a lower stakes way to then be warming up that network. So then by the time you get to the part of the course where you now have a resume, you have a LinkedIn profile, you're doing like hardcore networking, you sort of warm some of these connections up. And oftentimes those become connections that end up being a job for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Allison.
Thank you. Any other questions from the group?
Does the number of years of job experience before the career break? No, not at all. So I'm glad you asked that.
Let's say the whole question for
No,
people
that's
listening on LinkedIn.
It says, does the number of years of job experience prior to the career break or pause matter for this course? It does not. So there's a real continuum of age. We have students who are 30, we have students who are 68. We have students who have taken a year off, like an extended maternity leave. The longest career break we've had is 26 years. So a real range. We have people who have our students have professional experience. Some have advanced degrees. We have some that have professional experience, but for whatever reason don't even have a college degree, but we're able to enter the workforce and develop some professional skills that way. So a real range of industries and levels and age and length of career break. So no, none of that matters at all. It's a very broad, and the strategies we teach and the tactics that we work on with you apply regardless of that, whatever your situation is.
Yeah.
Okay. The last speaker mentioned that she went to a coffee shop down the street from her home. Her team was awesome. Okay, it's not a coffee shop.
Oh, yeah.
Peet's Coffee, Peets Coffee.
The company.
Yeah, they were just
corporate.
I think they were just, what were they monetizing?
They're
80
acquired
million or
from
something?
Keurig
Really?
Dr. Pepper this last week.
Yeah, they were just acquired. Yeah, they're a big, big company. You know, it's funny that you asked that question, Allison, because when she said it, I thought, oh, that could be mistaken as
I know.
the local coffee shop. No, it's a major, major competitor with probably like Vermont,
Starbucks.
like all the other big, you know,
All the
kind of
big-
boutique coffee brands. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, it's a good question. I'm glad you asked it because we should have clarified that.
And yeah, she asked us, was it in person or local? Anyway, all of our learning is here via Zoom virtually, and we have students who join us. We've had students from Asia, Europe. I mean, we've
Yeah.
had students from all over
Africa.
Africa. Yeah, most of our students are US based, but we have definitely have taken international students if you're willing to a time zone that we're meeting in.
Yeah. And part of the reason is that there are more options if you're living in Europe to work flexibly and to take an extended career break and not feel like you're burnt out after just, 2 months home with your baby. So it's more of a US problem or opportunity. Ashley, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to talk about the cohort because I actually think that's a really valuable part of this course. So we had a cohort of, I think it started out as 10 ladies, but maybe somebody dropped out because of illness. There were some issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
But so what happened is we obviously had the great meetings with Susan and Kelley live. They definitely did all of that, tweaked our resumes, our LinkedIn, couldn't have, our interview practice. All of what they said is totally spot on and true. They really did make us perfect our pitches. But I would say that when we were, even after the course ended, our cohort stuck together. And so, for example, in my case, we had a woman who was a former HR person. So when I was interviewing for a job in what Susan and Kelley would call the hidden job market, meaning the job didn't really exist until I approached the people who I'm now working for to suggest that they hire me for this job. But once we had that conversation, they're like, okay, we're going to go here's the job description. And by the way, we think you're great, but we're going to post it on LinkedIn. Right. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm looking at this job description on LinkedIn. I'm seeing all these people apply. I'm like, okay, this is getting me nervous. And I reached out and called this woman from HR
Miriam?
and our former HR, Miriam, from our cohort. And Miriam was like, Ashley, she talked me off the ledge. She's like, Ashley, that's actually awesome for you. She's like, that's exactly what you want because they're going to hire you. She's my cheerleader. That's where all each other's cheerleaders in this cohort. She's like, they're going to hire you, but that way, internally, the other people know this was an open job and they're going to realize that you were the best hire for it. So she really helped me understand where I was, how to respond to all of this in real time. So this is all to say that the cohort, not only, Susan and Kelley's advice is so spot on and top notch, and they're the best in the business by far. But the other folks in your cohort have a lot of value to add, and we all really helped each other in different ways. And I can't stress that having that group go through this with you and pick up the phone when you're struggling or having a hard time or just don't want to do the work that you need to do, it's really a terrific sort of motivator throughout this process. So again, I'm a big cheerleader for you guys, but it's because I truly believe in this product. So
Thank you.
Thank
It's a
you.
good lead into Ashwini's question about how is this coaching different from someone in our own field of work running a similar program. So we don't know what your field of work is. There are very few programs that are comprehensive that take you from I'm not sure how to do this to complete certainty at the end with all the tools and tactics that you need. Frankly, I don't think it should be an industry specific program. I think that you benefit from being with people in other industries. I think you benefit from looking at people who have other roles because you may not have considered them. We've had many people come into our program that say, I know exactly what I want. I just want Susan and Kelley to help me get there. But when they go through that explore and assess, about 75% of them change their lanes. And we're talking about people coming in or like, I'm a tech program manager or project manager.
Yeah.
And they realize, you know what? I would love to do project management on something that's not tech. Or I really don't want to be a lawyer anymore. I'm a great lawyer, but what I'm really good at is persuasion. I'm a litigator and I love technology. I want to go into tech sales. So I think there's great benefit in being in a group of general people with different skill sets and not focused on just getting you a particular job in a particular industry, but looking at the sky's the limit. And Ashley's a very good case for that. We can't we will tell you that there are very few programs like ours out there, that a few that we knew existed are no longer in business. It is If we were selling a program for high school seniors, we would probably be really rich because people have no problem investing in helping their high school seniors get into the best colleges. But we're dealing with a population of people who doesn't invest in themselves.
Yeah.
So the other larger programs in this field no longer exist.
Yeah.
We exist because we're really good at what we do.
Right. And I also think something that is unique in our program is that we're also speaking to that personal side of
Yes.
you and the personal growth that happens through this process, because everybody is, ripe to talk about the professional aspects of this, the resumes, the LinkedIn, like all of those pieces. But there are some roadblocks. There are some way that you're bringing energy to an interview, or you're not speaking very confidently because you haven't done that personal work. And this program grows that as well. And that is something that's unique. It's sort of the marriage between Kelley and
Yes.
Susan. It's that professional and personal side that's happening through this process.
Right. And we love, I mean, we love working together. We work really well as a team. And what she sees, I don't see, and what I see, she doesn't see. So
Right.
we don't really miss a whole lot. Like we're
Yes.
really like, sometimes I'll be working with someone and she'll say, you know what, you got to go do this because her issue isn't that. It's because she's just stuck on this,
Right.
that I just didn't see it,
Right.
and vice versa. So
Yeah, we fill each other's gaps.
Yeah.
Like I was physically looking at us,
I
and
know
I'm
we
like,
actually matched
there was
it.
a day where we had to like call each other and say, I'm wearing this today, you wear that. So we didn't clap. But look at this. We like didn't even talk to each other. And we just both match. It's just like we compliment each
Yes,
other.
very
Yeah.
much.
All right.
A
We have
lot of fun in the process.
a question from Allison that says, what if I find out I have a skill gap that is keeping me from finding a good paying job in my sector? Do you advise a path for that?
Absolutely, but we advise that you fill any skill gaps only after doing the research
Vetting.
to make sure that it really needs to be filled.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of students that will come through here that have spent the last year maybe dabbling on job boards, but also taking every licensure program, getting every certificate. And then when they get to the education of the section of their resume, it's got 18 different things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read 18 different things, and I don't need 18 different things.
Right.
At the end of the day, I will hire the candidate I like the best, not the candidate who's most skilled. So if you're going to invest in anything after investing in us, we will make sure that you absolutely need to have that skill set
Yes.
to get the job. Very often you don't. Very often the company, if they like you enough and you're able to get in through the back door, which is what we teach you how to do, is willing to pay for you to do that.
Yeah.
In some cases, there are structured returnship programs that you can do. Most of our students don't need those, but yes, to answer your question, but not without a lot of vetting.
We had a call the other day with a prospective student, and her background is in tech. She sees some skill gaps there. We gave her that same advice that you want to first vet, is this something that I really need to do? Or is this even something that I need to be in a formalized program? Could I actually do some skill learning on my own? And that would be just enough to move the needle so that I could land that job. So the tech world, there could be that you do need a hard skill. And that was the other thing that we did say to her. So if it comes to be that you do need a hard skill, it is probably manageable to do, because this is about 6 to 8 hours a week. If you had, if you were not employed currently, you could probably balance both doing the course. So,
But you'll know what skills you need, which ones are like you have to
Vital.
have the vital skills, and then the ones that might be nice to have. You'll know the difference. And we're not having you invest in anything that's not vital, because your network and your interview skills can help you mitigate any other skill deficiency you may have.
Great. All right. And another follow-up question from Allison that speaks to that. What about creative careers where you might not have a lot of portfolio examples? Maybe Kelley can talk about the short-term, long-term game plan that you teach.
well, I think there's that aspect of it. I think that if that's something that you're looking to grow towards, if you're looking to grow towards growing your portfolio, you could decide like, here's as you're coming through a program, here's the job I'm going to take for the here and now, and then this is what I'm going to grow towards. But I actually think this is something that you could start working on your own, taking side gigs, projects throughout the course, right? Don't you
Yeah, I
think
think it
that,
also
like, you could
depends. It comes down to what type of creative career you want, whether the portfolio is even necessary,
Yeah.
or maybe you have a portfolio that
And
you
you
don't
don't even
consider as
realize it.
adequate, but once you present it when we start working resumes, and I look at it and say this is enough. So there are a lot without knowing the specifics, but I think also to know we do have. In fact, Riley Caldwell was just posting something on LinkedIn I saw the other day. We have probably 10 or 15% of our students are pursuing career in typically the visual
Creative
careers,
arts.
graphic designs or art. And there are there's
Interior
a lot of give in those areas and a lot of different roles. Sometimes it's a matter of getting in on maybe more of a production level or administrative support level, and then pivoting into the job that you want, but getting into that creative industry or company.
And you will do in the portion, there's one portion of the course where you mine for your experiences. You actually go through experiences that you've done. You may have done little gigs for family members, or you may
But you're
have
not
done
counting.
things that you're just not counting that could fill that gap. And you can also start to think differently on day one. Any volunteer opportunities that you're taking on, we call it strategically volunteering. So you may take on roles or responsibilities in your own community that are helping you build that portfolio, if you do need one, if you do truly need one. So I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Allison.
Thank you. And one question from Becky on logistics. What exactly happens at the onboarding session on September 17th? I'll take that one.
Go, please,
Okay.
You're the star of that one.
We'll sip our water.
Yeah, this is a kind of how-to nuts and bolts. We want to make sure that you start week 1, which technically starts September 22nd, just off on a good foot. So we walk you through accessing our online learning portal, which is Kajabi, like Susan and Kelley mentioned, like how to get in there, what does it look like, making sure you know where to find all the downloadable exercise files. We introduce you to our Slack platform, which is where we all communicate with each other, and that's where you're going to find the links for all of our weekly meetings. So making sure that you're kind of set up, that's what onboarding is about. And then you get to hear each other. The rest of the cohort will be there, and you could do a very brief, this is who I am. We're obviously going to refine that story through the course of the program. So that's what we do on the 17th. We will record. Something I don't know if we mentioned heavily is that all of our sessions are recorded. They are only shared in our cohort, so it's a safe space. We're not like broadcasting this to the greater world. And I post the recording links at the end of each business day. So if you do miss a call, you had a doctor appointment or you're out of vacation that week, we understand. We would like you to be at every call live, but we know that life happens and you live busy lives. So all the calls are recorded and you can catch up.
You're going to want to be at the calls.
Yeah.
You're going to want to be on those calls. But like Megan said, life does happen.
Megan, can you give that? Did we do that one? Yes. No, we haven't done.
How long do we get community access? You have access to the pre-recorded videos on our Kajabi platform for 1 year from the start of the course. So you'll be starting for this cohort. We offer it 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring. For fall, you would have access to this until September of next year. And our Slack group goes away only 6 to 8 weeks after the course. And that's only because we put you into the graduate community, and then you can network with the wider PTLU group. I have some questions on LinkedIn.
Dominique asks if you want to change careers and are not sure what kind of job or roles would be a good fit based on your education and prior experience, would you help us identify? So I think Ashley did a really good job of talking to that.
Yeah.
That is what the first 4 weeks of the course are, with targeted exercises, both our own and proprietary tools, but also those from third parties, through conversations in your group, with us, with others. We'll be very clear at the end of week 4, you'll have to declare your lane, and you'll have done that research to determine, okay, this is where I'm going. So, and even for those who come into the program who say, I know exactly what I want to do, we'll still make you go through this, because as I said earlier, that 3/4 of the people change their minds.
Or really clarify, and pinpoint the audience in a much more
Specific
way.
That's exactly right. And then Allison, your portfolio situation is different because your work is older, less advanced and impressive. I'm not sure how much of that is in your head, how much of it is reality. The truth
Yeah.
probably lies somewhere in between. So we'll help you work through that. But there's a place for you. If you
Yes.
want to work in the creative field, and
Yes.
we will, through the exercises we do this first 4 weeks, we'll help you find what it is. It may be that you're going in a junior level to build your portfolio. It may be that you're going to do some freelance work to build that portfolio. It may be that you network so successfully that someone who meets you is willing to invest in you based on the less impressive, using your words, work that you've already done on your own.
Yeah. And Allison, that's where there's a couple of supports that are built into the course on the front end that are really helpful. Number one, we have you build a team of people around you. It's actually the very first exercise that you will do. And so talking to people that are working in the field, you may tap someone to be a mentor, and they can really give you like just to vet that for yourself. Like, is this really necessary? Can you take a look at this work? Again, in a low stakes way. You will also have the opportunity to potentially do that during the explore and assess phase of the course, where you are really exploring the different lanes and asking and talking to people that are really working in the industry, in the field, in the roles that you want, and asking them specifically, take a look at what do I need to grow? So you're getting educated yourself so you can make the next right move.
I think this also is a good time to say that we are not sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns. Especially me. I am not letting you out of here if I think you're going after something you can't do.
No.
And I will be brutally honest.
Yeah.
So if any of you, I'm not talking to you, Allison, if any of you here on LinkedIn or watching the recording, come in with something that is just untenable based on where you are right now, I will tell you. But we will together, Kelley, me, your cohort, you, figure out a way to get you there eventually.
Or some version of it. I mean, and you will hear stories in the course of students who maybe wanted to be a surgeon, but that was not going to be in the
Work at
cards.
52.
Exactly, at 52 years old. But she is currently doing work that is so in alignment with many of the pieces of what skills she had and she brought to the table, what her strengths were and what she brought to the table, and then this passion for medicine that she also had. So it will develop as you are moving through the process.
Right.
And that is something that you all need to hear and understand. This is a process. Returning to work is a process. It is not just the end goal. Like, it's not just a resume and then put it out there. It is a process, and it is a process that grows you both personally and professionally. And that is something you need to know and understand. And that is something, when you walk away from this course, you will feel transformed. You truly will feel transformed. That you will come in as one woman and you will leave as another woman. And you can ask our students, that is what happens. And that's not just because of Kelley and Susan. That is because you have done the work to grow yourself through this process.
And Allison, clearly you've written 2 questions on the same topic. This is something you want to do.
Yeah.
You need to give yourself permission to pursue it. And I'm sure that we can find a way that you can get there.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, Ashley, if you're available still, I have a question over from our LinkedIn group for you guys, for you, and I know Sarisha had to leave, but she says, this is from Stephanie, who I believe this is your birthday. She wrote to us separately, so thank you, Stephanie, for joining us on your birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Stephanie.
But she said, once you got your new role, so for Ashley, once you got your new role, did you have any issues acclimating to the new modern work environment after your time away?
That's such a great question. I have to be honest with you, because part of me was hesitant. I mean, I went into a company, and I'm probably one of the oldest, not quite, but definitely up there. But I have to tell you, I'm working with a ton of young professionals, and I'm finding it's so much fun. Like, I'm just having a blast. But I will say that I think throughout my years off, I've always been I've been the lifelong learner type. So I have kept up with technology. So like when ChatGPT came out in November of 22 or whatever it was, in January, I already had gotten on it and I was experimenting around with it. So I was always doing those kinds of things. I took some courses throughout my time, I was interested in, I thought maybe I would potentially launch my own sort of business. So I took courses to that end. I realized that that wasn't what I wanted to do before I joined this course. But in that process, I think I had sharpened up some skills and taken a bunch of online courses in like, copywriting, for example, or, I'm just very technically savvy that way. And just kind of always stayed abreast of all of that stuff. So I'm finding that helpful now, because I actually am showing some of my younger colleagues. I'm like, hey, you guys, you need to use ChatGPT and you need to use it. Here's some bots that I've created or that you should create or something like that. So I do think while it wasn't required to land the job, I think it's really helpful as a return to worker to have some skills. And in my previous career, I was a management consultant at one point, so I'm really good with Excel. Although I know the young kids don't even do that anymore. They're doing Python scripts or whatever. But at least I can get my way around Excel and manage all of that stuff to do what I want to do, PowerPoint, all those basic things. So yeah, I think that you don't have to have it again to land the job, but it's certainly helpful in the job. And so I would encourage you as if you have downtime now, to explore and explore in ways that wherever your interests tend to lie, because those are going to be the strengths that you're going to lean in on when you return to work.
I think the key is also having good information about what is relevant to the industry that you want to enter. A counter to Ashley's answer is a student of ours from probably 2020 or 21 who had worked in the global shipping industry back when there were bills of lading on clipboards and long multi-sheet fax orders coming in. I mean, like nothing like the way shipping is done now. And she landed a job with Flexport, which became famous in 2020 during COVID because they were shipping a lot
everywhere.
of stuff. But she landed a job with them, not really knowing any of the tools, and actually having probably missed several iterations of the tools since the bills of lading and the old single-page faxes. But they hired her because of her institutional knowledge, because of her functional knowledge. And the one thing, she was very nervous. She was a single mom who spent probably her last penny on our course.
Mm-hmm.
We did not know this until after the fact. She had 2 preemie babies that were kind of high-need teenagers, single mom. And she had a lot of strikes against her, but she was a dynamo. When she got the job, she called us right afterwards. She said, oh my God, I was like vomiting. I was so nervous that I was going to be a tech dinosaur. She said, nobody knows what they're doing. Things are changing so quickly that even if you missed, in her case, she'd been out for 18 years since her boys were born.
Yeah.
She missed 18 years of technological innovation. And it didn't really matter because they were all learning new stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
So there is some truth to, yes, if you come in knowing a few things, and as Ashley said, learning the things that you're interested in, because they'll be more likely to stick.
Yeah.
But knowing also that when you go anywhere, they're going to have their own proprietary way of doing things.
Yeah.
They're going to have sometimes their own proprietary software. Every new employee is kind of in the same place.
And I think that's what I would say. Just this is totally based on our own like experience with over 1,000 women that have returned to work. Those first 2 months are probably the most challenging. You are shifting and changing something. You may have been in a very defined role for an extended period of time. And those first 2 months, you just have to give yourself grace. You are on a learning curve. You are growing. You need to ask questions. You're not going to shrink. Like all of those things that are going to make you successful, you need to be employing, and then you need to be taking really good care of yourself. Because
and Kelley will teach you how to do that in a real purposeful way.
Yeah.
So Becky, Allison, Deanna, Sodomini or Sodomini, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and Lavanya, we really hope you'll apply. We hope that hearing Ashley's and Surisha's stories will encourage you to enroll if you're accepted. And if you have any further questions, Megan's put some links to how to reach us. You probably have our email address to our info@preparetoLaunchU.com address. We'd love to welcome you in.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks. I know we went a little bit long today, but we love answering everybody's questions, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Again, applications close Monday, September 15th. We start soon after that on September 17th and run through December 5th for our fall 25 cohort. If you have any questions at all, please email us at info@preparetoLaunchU.com. Hope you all
Thanks again,
have a nice
Ashley,
weekend.
for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley, and also to Surisha who left.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.